Our film begins in Morocco with an unknown person driving his car in the middle of the desert at top speed, but suddenly the Arabic car broke down on him, so he became very angry and got out of it quickly, taking a large bag with him. Then he runs at full speed towards a high hill, and he digs a small hole in it and puts the bag in it, and he fills the hole and marks it with more than one rock. Then he goes down to his car, and the police come to arrest him, and he goes to jail. After a while, the unknown person comes out, and he takes a taxi to go to the same place where he left the bag. But he is surprised when he finds there that the place of the bag is a shrine of a person named Mr. Unknown. There will be many houses around the hill, and the look of the place has changed completely, and the unknown person goes up to the hill, and he looks at the place of the hole, but he wouldn't be able to locate it exactly, so he decides that he is. It comes at a time when there is no limit, and he goes down to the city, and there he meets a small hotel, and the owner of the hotel remains reading the Quran. The unknown person prefers to call him, but the owner of the hotel does not respond, and after he finishes reading, he prays to God, and preferably the unknown person standing while he is upset, until the owner of the hotel finishes and asks him about his request. The unknown person needs a room, so the hotel owner asks him for 150 dirhams, so the unknown person gets the money that he has, and he tells the owner of the hotel that his wallet is in the bag and he won't be able to get it out now, so the owner of the hotel apologizes to him and tells him that he needs the full amount, so the unknown person is told that he is looking for his wallet in the bag. Suddenly, one of the city's residents comes out and pays him the full amount, so the unknown person thanks him, and he goes to his room. And there he meets the same person who paid him for the room, and he asks him if he is sick. The unknown person is surprised by his question, and he tells him he's fine. The person who paid him tells him that all visitors come here to be treated at the shrine, but the unknown person tells him that he feels nothing more. The honorable person would welcome him, and he tells him it's because of his beard. People will think of you as either sick, crazy, or feeling. Then he leaves him and walks. And the unknown person enters his room, and he opens the window, and he hears a person named Khalid talking to the son of a person named Ibrahim, and he tells him that this gift is for his father, and he tells him that he is waiting, and the gift remains a prayer rug. So Ibn Ibrahim thanks him, and suddenly he notices that the unknown person is looking at him. The person closes his window quickly and remains alone. And Ibrahim's son walks and goes to his father's land, and what becomes desert land. But Ibrahim prefers to have hope that the world is raining, and returns Sao from second, and his son gave him the gift, but Ibrahim does not take it and tells his son to walk and he will get it later. And on the way a stranger arrives, and he goes to the city's dispensary. There, the nurse opens for him and tells him that the clinic is not working because the new doctor has not yet arrived, so the stranger tells him that he is the doctor. So the nurse enters him and shows him his room, and tells him that they will start work from tomorrow. And at night, at the shrine, a thief wants to steal the coins that people put on the shrine, but he meets the guard with his dog, so he throws a brick away to distract them, and quickly collects the coins. But suddenly the unknown person appears behind him, and whoever wants to look for his bag and see the thief, so they beat him and run away quickly, and the guard comes to arrest the thief and the dog his in. The unknown person has to go back and go around the next day in the morning. The guard returns with his dog to the house, and there his son is asleep. So he wakes him up to go to work, and there is food on the table, so he extends the guard's son to eat, but his father hits him with a sandwich and tells him to put his hands to the dog because he didn't eat anything at night, and he tells him that I wish he was like a dog, working day and night and letting his son go out without eating. And he works as a shepherd in the desert. After a while, the nurse opens the infirmary and asks the doctor to enter the patients, and the first woman comes, and who keeps complaining of a headache, so the doctor asks her when, and she has a headache. So you tell him 20 years ago, and the doctor understands that it is a normal headache. So the nurse comes with a medicine box in his hands, and the doctor's hands to the patient, and let her walk. And then you enter a patient who does not complain about anything, and the nurse prefers my hand. The doctor from his medicine boxes. The doctor gets very bored and goes out to look at the rest of the patients and discovers that they are all women. The doctor asks the nurse if there is no sick man in the village. He tells the nurse that they are all sick, but they all go to the tomb of the unknown master, so they ask the doctor if he is afraid. They will not go. They tell the nurse that they sometimes hide, and sometimes not, and women also go to the shrine, but they consider that the clinic is an outing where they enjoy their time. This is because they do not have a second to go out with. The doctor is shocked and feels frustrated after he had no hope that he would make an achievement and become the city's doctor, but he understands that superstitious habits dominate the people of the city, and that's why none of them believe in medicine and treatment. And in another place in the city, the unknown person decides to go to the barber. And there, he finds the same person who helped him pay for the room, along with his friends. So they let the unknown person take their turn. This is because they are so empty and have no other job. The unknown person shaves, and they ask the barber about the thing he feels about. They say the unknown person studies the nature of the earth and rocks, so he throws away all those present and tells him that they have nothing more than rocks in the city. After a while, the shrine guard arrives, and he talks about the thief who was arrested, and he keeps saying things that are not true. The harem was very large, and he was able to attack him and stop him and his dog, and the unknown person is surprised at the lie he hears. And he finishes shaving. Then he looks at himself in the mirror, but he finds that the cream caused him redness in his beard. Suddenly, he hears the barber saying to the guard he will shave him with a different and better cream because he is their hero. The person gets very upset and gets out of the barber shop, and then he calls another person, telling him that he needs it, and his assistant comes and the one who was with him in prison, and he tells him about the place where the money is. So his assistant goes to the place where the shrine is, but the unknown person realizes that someone else is infiltrating the shrine. He asks his owner to walk quickly, and they move home together. And the second thief blooms, the one who steals the shrine painting, and the one on which the unknown master is written. And he walks. Meanwhile, the doctor is sitting alone at home, and he feels bored, and he tries to fix the TV, but he doesn't, so he decides to knock on the nurse to sit with him. So the nurse opens the door and he is dressed in black, so the doctor asks him about the reason that made him wear black, but the nurse does not answer him. So the doctor enters his house against him, and suddenly he sees the stolen shrine painting, so he tells the nurse not to be afraid, and this is because he will not report him, and they say that he just feels bored, and that's why he comes to sit with him. And in the house of the unknown person, he sits with his friend, and they think about what they are supposed to do to get their money back, but without arresting them. Then his friend suggests that they burn the village or kill the guard, but the unknown person looks at him in amazement and asks him not to think again, and he says to himself that the brain is the muscles. On the second day, the friend of the unknown person decides to act himself, and he keeps waiting in his car on the road where the dog walks with the guard's son and the sheep. As soon as they cross the road, the dog knocks on the Arabic and returns home quickly. And the villagers take the dog, and they quickly bring him to the doctor. At this time, all the villagers treat the guard badly, and this is because he allowed the shrine painting to be stolen, and the barber shaves him with the cream that he shaves with for all people. Suddenly, he hears a sound outside the store, and the guard comes out and sees his dog bleeding, so he takes him to the doctor and begs him to treat him and says that he doesn't have anyone else. The doctor asks him to leave the clinic, and the guard and all the people of the village remain waiting to check on the dog. The guard remains very afraid and angry at his son, accusing him of being guilty and beating him, and the unknown person will be standing and watching what is happening until the doctor comes out, and with him the dog who remains with a broken hand, and his teeth will also be broken, and the guard doesn't care and rejoices that his friend is still alive, and the person comes home and fights with his friend because he acted out of his brain, so his friend tells him that there was no other solution before them, so the unknown person tells him that the dog is still alive, and he fails until he kills an animal. He makes his friend very happy, and this is because he felt guilt after killing the dog, and he admits that he is not comfortable with the operation, and he is afraid that he will dig up the grave of one of God's righteous guardians. So the unknown person tells him that all these are myths, and that all they will do is return their money. Meanwhile, Ibrahim and his son are staying at home, and he tells his father's son he wants to travel from the city, and they say that there is nothing he can do and that he will waste his life and youth on it. His father is very affected and feels sad, but he manages his feelings and tells his son to travel, and he asks him about his position, so he tells him to his son that he wants to travel with him, but the father does not answer him, and this is because he has hope that the world will rain. On the second day, the father comes out of the house, and his son Peggy sits with him. Suddenly, he sees his friends traveling from the city after they lost hope. And Ibrahim does not want to bid them farewell, and it will be very sad. He felt that everyone would abandon him. Then you get an idea, and he decides to pray for rain. But there is no virtuous one except him, his son, and one too. He tells them that the most important thing is intention, and they pray while praying that our Lord blesses them with rain. And at night, Ibrahim hears the sound of thunder, and he tells his son that God will answer their prayers, but the son does not respond to his father. This is because the sky has not rained for 10 years, and on the second day Ibrahim meets that there is no rain. He feels angry because of the shrine that made people leave their homes in the city and come to live next to it, and he goes to the shrine, and there the unknown person and his friend remain, and the guard remains sad without his dog. And the first time the guard walks Ibrahim to the shrine, and he wants to break it. And this is because he is the reason for what happens to them. People give it to him, and let him walk. And the unknown person consults his friend about the place where the money is, and they decide to carry out the operation at night, and the time comes that we agreed upon. But the friend of the unknown person gets nervous and tells him that he is not comfortable, and he didn't want to do anything tonight, and the unknown person is shocked. And we will regret that he relied on him, and he comes home angry. On the second day, the guard goes to the barber, and he asks him to make teeth for his dog. This is because he can't eat and will die, and begging him to help him. Because he doesn't have anyone else, the barber tells him that he makes gold teeth for customers and that he knows how many teeth he makes, but the dog needs different teeth, and he tells him that the price of teeth will be very expensive. The guard tells him that he will pay him whatever he wants, and he will answer him the teeth that fell from the dog, and he will remove the teeth from the stray dogs so that he can dress them. The barber agrees. At night, the guard brings all the money he has to the barber, and he tells him that he will pay him the rest as soon as he sells the land. At this time, the unknown person goes with his friend to the shrine. And the first time he goes, he feels like a monster, and he will be afraid, so he decides to come back and come the next day. One day the barber finishes making the dog's teeth and they go to the doctor, and there they start doing the process of installing teeth for the dog. And all the people of the village remain waiting outside the hospital until the operation is over. Meanwhile, Ibrahim remains depressed after losing hope for the first time in years that it will rain, and his friends try to talk to him, but he doesn't respond to anyone, and he won't even be able to eat. And in the hospital, the dog's dental installation is successful, and the guard rejoices. And all the people of the village, and they return home. On the second day, Ibn Ibrahim meets that his father died, and between the collapse of him and decides that he travels. Before he walks, he visits his father's grave for the last time, and suddenly he finds the world raining, and our Lord will answer the prayer. And Ben collapses from grief over his father, who died of heartbreak, so he decides that at night he will blow up the shrine that was the cause of his father's death, and he puts a bomb in front of the shrine, and he pulls her rope far away. At this time, the unknown person arrives. Before he breaks the door, the bomb explodes and he faints, and Ibn Ibrahim returns to the shrine, and he will be happy. When he sees the fire around him, suddenly, he sees a suitcase buried under the ground, so he takes it, and the first time he opens it, he finds a very large amount of money in it, and he can't believe his eyes, so he takes it and runs away. The unknown person overtakes and hears the sound of ambulances and police cars, so he quickly runs away. In the middle of the desert, Ibrahim's son returns home and decides to rebuild the shrine, but in his father's name, and the people of the village are preparing to cultivate their lands after it has rained, and all those who traveled from Tani will return. The city is famous and tourists come from everywhere to take a picture next to the tomb of Sidi Ibrahim. and the unknown person remains lost in the middle of the desert without a goal or evidence. And don't forget to subscribe to the Ladybug Synopsis channel.